Hello, and welcome
Oh,
to Ponyville Law and Order.
Law and Order, MLP.
Either one.
Oh, come on. Right now. Yay. I got it.
Law and Order MLP. See, I just woke up. I still have a breakfast on my table. So how are y'all doing this morning? I'm gonna look into the Discord chat and see if there are any active people here. Even if there isn't, we're gonna present anyway because this is recorded and people can go back and watch it.
Which, that I'm happy about.
Yeah, which is really very, very cool.
I don't have to bring my camera in to record the panel now.
This is true.
What? What? What?
Let me check. It's all right. We are on the peanut butter stage, so. Hooray! We're gonna do this. This is the functional. Stream dead. You, same here. Okay, no, everything should be fine. Now we'll wait to see if they are going to file it. That was old stuff, though.
I'm relying on.
I'm live
You're
on
live?
me. Yeah, I'm live on the Vimeo link that he just gave us.
Cool.
To the stream, and there are 15 people in it. So I feel
Like,
that,
we're good?
yeah, I feel that we're good.
All right.
All right, let's do that again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Law and Order MLP.
Hey, everybody. I am the Brony Critic.
I am Drew Flashy.
And I hope you guys appreciate the logo for the opening of our panel. This took far, far longer than it had any right to take.
Yes, but it looks. I think it looks good. I hope they do too. They seem to be. I'm monitoring the Discord chat, and there are people that are greeting us. So,
Oh yeah,
they're on a slight delay for.
that's not going to be weird at all. But let's get going with introductions.
You missed the Darkwing Duck reference.
Well,
let's get dangerous.
Before we do that, there will be time for questions at the end. Be sure to post the questions in the peanut butter stage questions channel. And then at the end of the panel, hopefully when we get through everything, we will be able to ask those questions. We'll also, if you guys have comments or stuff, we'd happy to hear those comments as well. We imagine you guys may have some comments.
Turnabout Storm is awesome. And yeah, so like regular chat, like you guys are doing, will be in the peanut butter stage. And then if you would please parse out questions that you have about the panel in the PB stage questions, because we are monitoring, and I'll make it a little easier.
It just makes it a little easier for us so we don't get quite as overwhelmed. So let's go into the introductions. Who are we?
Yeah, because some people may have never been to TrotCon before. It is a distinct possibility that people just don't know.
They might not recognize you because you're not in your shinies.
Yes, I'm not easily identifiable by my typical attire. Absolutely. Not saying I'm a well-known person or anything, but you and I have been around TrotCon a few times. So my name is Drew Flashy. For those of you who don't know, which if you don't know, welcome. Like if you don't know who I am, that's great. That means you're here now, and you are valued, and we love you. And for those of you who do know me, thank you for coming back. Thank you. I bring out the knowledge from between the lines. I'm a lore seeker who wishes to enrich the fandom with esoteric knowledge and have great fun while doing it. So we're using the same. If some of you think that sounds familiar, it is. It's from our timeline panel. But the introduction, there's no reason to change it. I'm still me. Voice actor by day, custodian by night. My analytical side comes as a hobby. I'm not a career theorist, as it were. I am the VIP relations coordinator for TrotCon, so I'm the one who talks to the guests and their agents, and I bring them to the convention. I also do a lore panel that some of you may have seen yesterday. I see some familiar people in the chat.
I was there.
Yeah, I do lore panels as well, kind of like this one, only this one is going to be far less speculative because law is concrete, and these ponies are they're wild.
A little bit. So I am the Brony Critic. I focus a lot on fan content, fan reviews, and criticism. I love exploring fan fictions and fan creations to kind of highlight them to the community, bring greater attention to them. Outside of the fandom, I'm actually a professionally trained film critic and writer with about 8 years of experience in film, television, and radio. I actually work for my local television station. I am the primary film critic for the Emerald Rangers review website, and I am also, very happily, a voice actor on Fiara's Fallout Equestria Dead Tree audiobook. I will be playing Silver Zoom when we get to Chapter 16. So I was actually at the Fallout Equestria panel yesterday as well. Some of you guys who were there might have seen me. But I believe that is the limits of our introduction. So, what is the point of the panel?
Right, the thesis.
The thesis. This is the idea. The princesses have always liked to promote themselves as the arbiters of peace and harmony. But the truth of the matter is that I believe, and I believe Drew is on my side in this, that there is a conspiracy behind Equestria's line of defense, the elements of harmony. These 6 mayors and their dragon accomplice are, by all appearances, law-abiding citizens. But I hope that you will join us when we show that through their political connections and economic clout, they are avoiding prosecution of truly heinous crimes that border almost on the inhumane.
Yeah, these ponies be cray.
Yeah. So we do want to make some notes. We are not legal experts. We simply wish to explore the law and the legality of the main 6's actions through the lens of Ohio and U.S. law. Through the process, we learned a lot about the specifics of law in the United States and in this state in particular, which we found both educational and kind of fun in a weird way. So we hope we can share that with you. I know the idea of law isn't exactly the most fun sounding topics, but we're hoping by using the lens of MLP that maybe we can give you guys a degree of entertainment in the way that we cover law. We also uncovered some really weird quirks about the law and the main 6 that we think you guys will find interesting and surprising.
Oh yes, absolutely. The law is weird. I know some people know that. Some people know that the law is very strange, but the law is very strange.
Yeah. So we're going to go first in explaining our methodology. What was the thought process behind what we did? What we're going to do is that we will explore one episode for each of the main six and Spike that, in our opinion, best exemplifies their criminal activity throughout the series, as many of them are repeat offenders. Occasionally, we may select a second, very notable or extreme crime to highlight the main six's behavior. What we wanted to show was a sort of pattern of behavior rather than count out every single crime, because if we did that, we'd be here all day. That's 10 years worth of behavior. And as you'll see, at a certain point, it's sort of gilding the lily. So rather than count every crime, we have the pattern of behavior. We'll figure out not only the crime involved, but also try to develop a possible punishment for the pony in question. Ohio has very distinct levels of punishment based on felonies and misdemeanors. And by each crime, we will also indicate the section of the law that was broken to kind of help explain and explore why that is. Midnight Fire going, I think we can guess pretty much. Yeah. You might be right. So we will go through the accused in order of the overall punishment they will receive from the episode in question, starting from least to worst. And so again, as we stated earlier, we will be using U.S. and Ohio law to base our judgment, largely because that's what's familiar to us. That's what would directly impact us. And so here are the lists and the lists for what we did. If you looked these up on Google, you would be able to trace or track what it is that we are searching for. So Ohio felony crimes, degrees, fines, and jail time, that showed us the punishments for felonies. Ohio misdemeanor crimes showed us the punishment for misdemeanors. Understanding criminal trespass, that was for Columbus criminal attorney. We needed that for one specific pony in particular. La Writer ORC, that's basically the online Ohio revised code. And then we have Title 18 U.S. Code Part 1 Crimes from the U.S. Code website. That gives us the actual Title 18 is the actual section on crimes in U.S. law, which is, surprisingly enough, U.S. law isn't as extensive on crimes because they largely leave that up to the individual states. So for our international bronies who are in, that's how that sort of works. So there won't be as many U.S. crimes, but they exist for some very specific reasons that we had to kind of cover them.
A quick question by Alan Databit File. You did the timeline panel at BronyCon 2019, right? That is correct.
Mm-hmm. That was us.
See, that panel was 60-40 with Joe having the 60, or maybe I deign to say 45%, 55%. This panel,
55-45.
You go for the 55-45? Okay. This panel is like 10-90, 90 being Joe. So this is I'm like Applejack in the opening. I'm along for the ride.
Drew was very good at being like an ear to listen to, and he's also here because my internet is run by a hamster on a wheel. So if I drop, Drew is there until I can get back. But hopefully everything is good. So far, none of the Zoom chats have actually dropped while I was in them.
That's good.
But you never know. So we'll
the accused. Jacques!
Yep. So, first of the ponies.
Who do you guys think commits the least amount of crime? Who do you think of the main 6 plus Spike has the fewest criminal charges?
We can almost guarantee you guys are wrong, but who do you...
Yeah.
Like, I will actually bet money that you guys don't get the right answer to this one.
Okay. Bramble Shadow says Fluttershy. Dreadnought says Fluttershy. Alan says Fluttershy. Midnight Fire with AJ. Pixel Light with AJ. Please be Flitterfloosh. Okay. All right. Rainbow Dash.
I like your guys' answer with Fluttershy.
Yeah, because
nice...
it just so happens to be that you guys are right. Fluttershy is the one with the least amount of crimes that she has committed.
Yep. So, let's see. Our episodes for Fluttershy are The Best Night Ever, and we had a few specific cases from Putting Your Hoof Down. So, for The Best Night Ever, our best example was the crime we knew was inducing panic, which is from the Ohio Revised Code 2917.31. No person shall cause the evacuation of any place or otherwise cause serious... I can't quite read... Oh, no! Cause serious... inconvenience or alarm by doing any of the following: committing any offense with disregard for the likelihood that its commission will cause serious public inconvenience. Some of the wording I can't see all the way. So this seems pretty clear to me.
Oh yeah, when she busts through the wall shouting, "You're going to love me!" She does countless dollars of damage to a government venue.
Yeah,
it's literally the castle.
Destroying a giant marble statue. She injures Rainbow Dash in the effort. She completely...
Yes.
She causes reckless amounts of damage. Damages over $150,000 and harm to a person results in a third-degree felony.
So the least of the ponies that have committed crimes is a felon.
Yep, a third-degree felon. And in Ohio, the punishment for that would be 36 months or 3 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Now, at first, that was our only example. But then we realized that there was Putting Your Hoof Down. And...
right. That has a few additional cases that are notable. I mean, we're trying to stick with the one episode thing, but these were clear cut and dry examples.
3 counts of assault. Now, we wanted to initially do maybe like felonious assault, but that's only... felonious assault is when you engage in assault, you assault someone while committing a crime.
Yeah.
If you hadn't committed the crime, you wouldn't have committed the assault.
Yes.
We couldn't also do negligent assault or reckless assault. Those have very specific set circumstances. But for just normal assault, it's no person shall knowingly cause or attempt to cause physical harm to another. Although in Ohio, it also has or another's unborn. Yeah. It has that at the end, but I felt that's just a weirdness. They include that in the list of all the assaults. It's weird.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah. But that is ORC 2903.013. Each account is a first-degree misdemeanor due to no other extenuating circumstances. Had there been any other circumstances, or had they been all tied together, this wouldn't have been the case. And what these 3 counts of assault are when she knocks up the wagons. Your video's down, Drew.
I know.
Okay, cool. Sorry. I was like, no, don't leave me. You're the host.
That's true.
So each count is a first-degree miss. That's when she upends those the garbage troughs on top of the 2 ponies, and when she beats someone in a taxi up to get their seat. And the punishment for that is 540 days in jail and a $3,000 fine. Jail, not prison, because again, it's a misdemeanor. So her total amount of punishment for the least pony is 36 months in prison, 540 days in jail, and $13,000 fine. We do want to make a note, though, because a lot of people are going to bring this up.
Yeah.
There are no animal charges for Fluttershy. There are no animal cruelty charges because she has a proven connection to the veterinarian community, which means that her animals seem to have community or government approval. So we can't necessarily charge any specific animal cruelty charges. Also, we cannot state with any great certainty what constitutes an exotic animal or pet in Equestria. So while it is quite possible she shows some sort of neglect or cruelty to animals in the show, that is far beyond the scope of this particular investigation. But here are our specific examples. As you can see in the upper right, we have...
Savage.
In the upper right, we have You're Going to Love Me. We have her literally like charging into a pony on a taxi, and she beats them up and tosses them out. So, yeah. The member of the main six with the least number of criminal charges still goes to prison for 3 years.
Still goes to prison for 3 years.
And jail for 1 year.
Has just how much in fines?
$13,000.
$13,000 in fines. And if you count the damage to government property, we sort of forgave her for the damage to the government property because Celestia didn't seem to mind.
Well, and there's another element of this that we're totally ignoring. This is all just criminal cases. This is the state of Equestria versus Fluttershy.
Yeah.
We are not counting civil lawsuits.
Right. So the taxi cab pony, both Bonbon and the other pony there could charge her all the nobles
at the Grand Galloping Gala. Fluttershy in a civil court, kind of screwed.
Would owe a lot more money. Just doing damage to government property in the value of over $101 is a $250,000 fine, which is bullcrap. Like, that's a stupid charge. But so without that, she has the $13,000.
Now, on to the next.
But who do you guys think it is? Who do you think? So if Fluttershy is the least of them, who do you think is next? Does Fluttershy being the lowest or AJ being the lowest made a lot of sense. We actually thought AJ was going to be one of the lowest ourselves. Rarity. Okay, Dreadnought says Rarity. I wonder if Bramble Shadow can call in the right answer as well. Rarity. All right, Rarity. Next, Lisa's AJ.
It seems like we do seem to be getting some kind of consensus.
Rarity or AJ. Rarity. All right, yeah. Well, that's all I see. You guys typing.
Have a pretty good. You guys actually have a pretty good, good beat on everything.
Yeah, pretty good beat on everything here. Like, yeah, the consensus was, Rarity.
Wait, what? There's a lot. Oh, right, okay. So these punishments are not the total. Sorry, I got confused for a second. I'm like, okay, so hers, she actually has quite a few, and it's from. Oh. Why is there? This phone keeps ringing. God, I'm gonna unplug it.
From Amanda Smith.
There we go. Thank you. I'm good.
That was funny.
Thank you. Sorry. Everyone's deciding to call Grand Central Station.
A lot of people. I was expecting a lot of white collar crime for Rarity.
No, actually, for her, no, the issue from Inspiration Manifestation, vandalism. No person shall knowingly cause serious physical harm to an occupied structure or any of its contents. ORC 2909.05. shall knowingly cause physical harm to property that is owned or possessed by another. Property is used by its owner or possessor in the owner or possessor's profession, business, or occupation, and the value of the property or the amount of physical harm involved is $1,000 or more, or that it interferes with an owner or possessor's profession, trade, or occupation. And the punishment is generally dependent on the dollar amounts of damage. And so when we look at everything, Dreadnought's going to say hi. That is my sister. So my niece is currently doing a dance recital right now. So they're trying to set that up on a Zoom account. So anyway, when we're doing inspiration manifestation, we look at the amount of damage that she does.
Oh boy.
$150,000 in damage easily. And because it is all tied in, we gave her the maximum amount of punishment you could for a third-degree felony in this case, which is 60 months or 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine.
And that's by the way, these aren't this long in prison or 10,000 bail. This is that amount of time, and also out of your pocket you pay 10 grand.
Yeah, no, and again, we're totally ignoring civil lawsuits because, whoo boy, but if that were the only charge, she would already have beaten Fluttershy in terms of prison time.
Yeah.
She adds a little more. Inducing panic. We've already described this one. Because of all the damage, and she actually causes some real chaotic nonsense. Again, damage over $150,000, harm to a person, third-degree felony. She actually gets Fluttershy's prison sentence added on top of it. She again gets that 36 months, 3 years in prison, and a $10,000 fine. We have a new charge, which is 1 count of criminal damaging or endangering. No person shall cause or create a substantial risk of physical harm to any property without that other person's consent. And this is for one specific purpose. We are going to equate Pegasi with aircraft, because if the property involved in the violation of this section is an aircraft or creates a substantial risk of physical harm to any person, when she puts Rainbow Dash in a dress mid-flight and it causes Rainbow Dash to crash into the ground.
Yes, so since Ohio law and U.S. law doesn't have any laws for flight and people who are actually flying through the air, we sort of had to tweak a little bit to account for what equestrian law may possess.
But in this particular case, because Rainbow Dash got injured in the action, that immediately makes it a 4th-degree felony, which is a 12 months or 1 year in prison and a $5,000 fine.
Oh, but the list doesn't end there.
No. We have 1 count of criminal mischief. No person shall, without the privilege to do so, knowingly move, deface, damage, destroy, or otherwise improperly tamper with the property of another. And this is if it caused harm to property or individuals. And this is largely from like messing with people's houses, trapping people in City Hall. Yeah, that's a 5th-degree felony. That's 6 months in prison and a $2,500 fine.
Also, for those of you who don't know, misdemeanors and felonies are like golf. The lower the number, the more severe the crime. So a 5th-degree felony is the least amount of felony you can commit, and a 1st-degree misdemeanor is the most misdemeanor you can commit, and then a 1st-degree felony is the worst.
And they usually will then go from, if you do slightly worse than a 1st-degree misdemeanor, you're at a 5th-degree felony.
Yes,
is usually how it operates. So the next one is because of what she does to City Hall. disrupting public services. No person purposely by any means or knowingly by damaging or tampering with any property shall substantially impair the ability of law enforcement officers, firefighters, rescue personnel, emergency medical services personnel, or emergency facility personnel to respond to an emergency or to protect and preserve any person or property from serious physical harm. Her actions interfere with the ability of people of government officials, including Twilight, to do their job. And in fact, Twilight had to bring in Luna and Cadence to clean up Rarity's mess.
Right. They didn't get Discord to undo all the damage. They weren't able to dispel the magic spell or unmagic everything. They physically had to replace all the roads in Ponyville.
Which, that
gold is heavy.
Gold is heavy, and that level of disruption, a 4th degree felony. And again, not counting civil lawsuits, although they probably could use the gold that she created to
help pay her fines.
So anyway, 4th degree felony, that is 18 months in prison or a year and a half in prison and a $5,000 fine, which leaves Rarity with a total amount of 132 months or 11 years in prison and a $32,500 fine. And she is only the second criminally her punishments are the second least worst.
Also, there is a question, if you can parse them out to the Peanut Butter Stage questions, but Dreadnought says, couldn't Rarity just claim by reason of insanity by being under the spell? We looked into that. In fact, she cannot, because it is not insanity. It is operating under the influence. So it is not a D. It is an OUI, which does not excuse the crimes you commit while you are under the influence of them.
And we had to clarify that very specifically for one of the ponies down the line.
Yes, yeah, we had to. And so, but it applies to her as well. She was not insane. She was of complete peak mental clarity. So we decided to charge it as a drug. And if you are under the influence of alcohol or drugs, you are not excused of your crimes. Unless they involve weaponry, actually. If you are drunk while you shoot somebody, you get less of a charge than if you are not drunk and shoot somebody. Freaking Ohio!
Yeah. So, we have the list of some of her acts of vandalism, and we almost wanted to, we sort of wished there was a separate charge that was grand vandalism, because the level at which she destroys that town.
And somebody says, shouldn't Spike be incarcerated with her? Yes, we have a rule of complicity. We're going to talk about being complicit in a crime. And yes, Spike is complicit in every single one of her charges.
Actually, it's kind of worse than that, because Spike is actually usually complicit in all of
them.
So don't worry, we'll get there. So we want to know who you guys think is next. I've actually forgotten who's next.
I actually also have forgotten who's next. But so who do you guys think is next? After, so Fluttershy and Rarity, okay. They're going.
Prison.
All right, AJ. Excellent. So Bramble Shadow and Ghostcatcher think AJ. Pinkie Pie, Dreadnought, yeah. AJ, Pinkie. Okay, so we've AJ. We've got Pinkie. Oh, Pinkie, Twilight. AJ. Okay, so we have a pretty good split between AJ and Pinkie Pie.
You are all wrong. Thanks for the memories. So we're going to start with cruelty to a companion.
Well, yeah, this is where it gets weird, because the order was pretty clear cut with Fluttershy being the least, and then I think Rarity being next. Yeah, that was cool. You would think AJ, and we thought AJ. Like, absolutely.
Until we actually considered what she does in this episode.
Yes.
So, cruelty to a companion animal. In Ohio, there are no laws against wild animals. There are no cruelty charges against wild animals, but there are for companion animals, for pets. No person shall impound. Yeah. No person shall impound or confine an animal without affording it during such confinement access to shelter from wind, rain, snow, or excessive direct sunlight if it can reasonably be expected that the animal should otherwise become sick or in some other way suffer. Rainbow Dash literally tries to keep her pet from sleeping, from going into its natural hibernation state, which it would need to survive.
Yeah, to actually live.
Yep. And here's the thing. If it were just her first offense, it would be a first-degree misdemeanor. But it's actually her it's not her second. It's like her seventh.
Yeah.
In the May the Best Pet Win, she commits all kinds of cruelty to companion animals. So automatically this charge gets bumped up to a fifth degree felony.
Notably, the quarry eels that predate on all of those animals that she made run through the canyon.
So repeated acts of animal cruelty or a history of cruelty would also result in the seizure of the animal in question. So her punishment for this one crime is 6 months in prison, a $2,500 fine, and seizure of Tank. So no matter what would have happened in this episode, she wanted to keep Tank under Ohio law. Tank would be gone.
Yeah, Tank. Yep, Tank would be gone.
Feeding Tank pies. Yeah, that's
feeding Tank pies.
So
that is cruel. Animal cruelty.
This is what we started on.
Yeah, we stayed. Yeah, this is the least of her charges, which would immediately make some people stop looking at her as best pony.
Criminal trespass. No person without privilege to do so shall recklessly enter or remain on the land or property of another, as to which notice against authorized access or presence is given by actual communication to the offender or in a manner prescribed by law. Essentially what this means is if you don't have the permission... Oh, Drew will be right back. So, essentially what this means... Oh, wait, no, go back. There we go. Yay. So, essentially what this charge means, criminal trespass, is she sneaks into the weather factory when she does not have permission to do so. And she does sneak in. She sneaks in. She gets through security. She's actively acting as if she has no permission to be there, which is obviously she knows she is guilty. But criminal trespass is only a misdemeanor, so it's a 4th degree misdemeanor. And that's 30 days in jail and a $250 fine, which I actually think that might be one of the lower single charges that any pony has.
Oh, the 4th degree misdemeanor.
The 4th degree misdemeanor, I think that is the least of the charges anyone commits, but it's added on with so much more. And it leads directly into our first violation of U.S. criminal law.
Hey, U.S. criminal law!
Impersonation of a government official, because the weather is operated by the Equestrian government. It is a national agency because the weather is operated by the government. So whoever falsely assumes or pretends to be an officer or employee acting under the authority of the United States or any department or agency or officer thereof and acts as such, she sneaks in and wears the costume and garb.
Yep, she takes the employee's outfit.
Yep, she takes an employee's outfit. But here's the thing. Rainbow Dash works for weather. She is a local weather pony only. And what this means is impersonation of a government official. Even a government official could be charged with this if they impersonate an official to get responsibilities or privileges that they wouldn't normally be entitled to.
Right.
So even if she were a government official, because she does not get express permission to be in the weather factory, because she wasn't allowed to be there at that time, she is both trespassing and impersonating.
Yes.
And so that is 3 years in prison. And honestly, that's what was weird. That's the only charge, 3 years in prison. U.S. law doesn't really deal with fines. Those tend to be, they do sometimes, but not usually.
Right, U.S. law is typically
her big one. Her really big one.
Somebody called it too.
Use of weapons of mass destruction. A person who, without lawful authority, uses, threatens, or attempts or conspires to use a weapon of mass destruction against any person or property within the United States, and the results of the offense affect interstate or foreign commerce, it is no great leap in our mind to suggest that a massive snowstorm constitutes a weapon of mass destruction. If humans could control the weather, snowstorms, hurricanes, tornadoes would constitute they would constitute a weapon of mass destruction. And the punishment for the use of a weapon of mass destruction under U.S. Chapter 113B, Section 2332A, is life in prison with the possibility of parole.
With the possibility of parole. Weapon of mass destruction. You still have a chance to get parole. Keep that in mind for the future of this panel.
Yeah.
There is a comment. It said, and we looked into terrorism as well, but pros. First of all, Crazy Rage Quitter called that Rainbow Dash had the weapons of mass destruction. That's true. And then Prose says, objection. Whilst Miss Dash is complicit in animal cruelty during the events of May the Best Pet Win, Miss Fluttershy is in fact the legal owner of all the animals throughout the event, and the purpose of the event being for Miss Dash to select an animal to purchase from Miss Fluttershy of the many animals she variously had in her care. Therefore, the responsibility of these animals' well-being and the subsequent abuse of them is manifestly the responsibility of Miss Fluttershy, and the client should be charged with this in mind. I agree, but also complicity is its own crime. And for all ponies that are complicit in the crime, they shall be charged as though they have committed the crime themselves. So while Fluttershy can be charged with animal cruelty in that episode, Rainbow Dash would still be complicit and therefore receive the same sentence as she would, even though they're her animals. It does not solely fall to her.
And it would still constitute a history of cruelty.
Yes, which would bump up, because this charge is explicitly her. So she would be complicit of a first-degree misdemeanor back in May the Best Pet Win, but she is absolutely committing animal cruelty herself again in this situation, and therefore would have the 5th-degree felony.
Well,
good catch, though. That's absolutely true. Fluttershy should have an animal cruelty charge for the May the Best Pet Win.
Right, but again, our idea here really was to sort of get patterns of behavior, and generally Fluttershy is actually very good about how she treats her animals. She gives them enough space, enough water, enough food. She takes care of them, gives them regular veterinarian care. So that doesn't really represent a pattern of behavior for her. That's one very specific circumstance.
Another thing about the terrorism charge, we looked into it. We were going to do sabotage, but it turns out sabotage is explicitly military operations. So like gunpowder stores, oil wells, any supply route or supply chain weapon stores, that's all sabotage. Everything else is not. And it's like, oh, can't we hit her with domestic terrorism? I forget why, Joe. Why couldn't we hit her with terrorism?
The reason...
Oh, because it's not a crime? Is that what it was?
Essentially, domestic terrorism fell under a purview of potential charges. Like, there were multiple separate charges that acted essentially as terrorism, but terrorism itself is actually very, very vague. So this use of weapons of mass destruction is essentially a terrorism charge. I believe Chapter 113B of the U.S. Code is involving terrorist acts. So
113B in those links that we provided before.
I believe. You guys can double check me on that, but I think that is the case. The terrorism charge, there were some very... I think the reason why was because terrorism under U.S. law is when you are engaging in criminal activity for the express purpose of using fear to evoke some sort of political change.
That's what it was.
Rainbow Dash just wants to stop the weather from happening. She isn't attempting to create any kind of political change by her actions. So technically, not terrorism. And pretty darn close.
And controlling the weather is a military weapon. It is not. That's a thumb is a finger, but a finger's not a thumb. So, like, if somebody has an assault rifle in their house and a jealous friend busts it up, that is not sabotage, even though that is classified as a military weapon. Even if that military weapon is even if that military weapon is from the military and was given to that person by a military official, it would still not count as a sabotage charge because it is not during wartime. And so
we've got to move along because we've still got 4 more individuals to cover.
Yeah, 4 more individuals. All right, so again, that's fine.
We got the destruction of government property. Whoever willfully injures or commits any depredation against any property of the United States. If the damage exceeds $1,000, the maximum sentence is used. She wrecks that factory.
Oh, yeah. It's out of commission for months.
Yeah, no, that's 10 years in prison and a $250,000 fine, which is 25 to life in prison with a parole, 13 and a half years with parole, and then 13 and a half years additional on top of that life sentence. So even if she got parole, she'd still have to go to prison for 13 and a half years. 30 days in jail, which that would probably get commuted based on her just staying in jail for her trial. And then a $252,750 fine. You'd think that was the worst of the fines.
Yeah, you would think that's the worst of the fines. Wrong. Also, if someone wants to look up that U.S. code, I'm pretty sure it's if the damages exceed $100.
Is it 100? I thought it was 1,000.
Well, I see that the maximum sentence is used for 1,000, but I know that you could be charged. Remember, because I was like, you could destroy a uniform and a stapler, and then you would be.
Oh right, yeah, no. I think the minimum is within $100 of damage, because obviously, if it's accidental,
right,
they don't want to charge someone accidentally for $250,000. But
and also, Alan Databit File has a question. The weather is run by Cloudsdale, not Equestria as a whole, so wouldn't it count as a state agency? Yes, it would. But in the United States, if the United States were another country, all of the states would be separate countries. So if Equestria functions like the rest of the world, then each place, I mean, I know it's not each of a different country, but it is a local agency.
But there is another aspect to this, is that the Weather Factory, specifically in that episode, says that they provide winter weather for the entire country.
Oh, so they are
which means that they are either nationally or interfering. She still interferes with interstate commerce.
Ah, that's true.
Because she is interfering with Cloudsdale's ability to engage in their business. If they actually operate like a business to provide winter for everybody, she is still interfering with international commerce through the actions of her weapon of mass destruction. So that still technically constitutes.
She has a propensity for making mushroom clouds.
Yeah, no, like it's pretty clear the damage that she does. So I want to see what you guys think is next.
Of the four remaining ponies.
So we've got Spike, Applejack, Pinkie Pie,
Twilight.
and Twilight. Mm-hmm. Who do you guys think?
Let's see. Pinkie Pie. Okay. AJ. Pinkie. All right. AJ. Pinkie.
And
Spike.
Just as a reminder, we are currently
Applejack.
dealing with 25 to life in prison with parole at this point. So we've already reached a life sentence. So
AJ or Spike. All right. I do believe one of these people is correct. 1.5 of these people is correct.
It's Spike.
It's Spike. Yeah.
Secret of my excess and the thorax situation.
And people keep saying AJ poisons people. It's true.
Yeah, well, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So Spike, this is the Brony Critic's boy.
I didn't want to do this, but he made it so hard. Kidnapping. ORC 2905. You guys can read the charge right there.
That's Ohio Revised Code. That's what ORC stands for.
ORC is Ohio Revised Code. So you can look up the Ohio Revised Code and look up all of these numbers are all available. And I will actually have this PowerPoint up on my Twitter at the Brony Critic, so you guys can actually go through and peruse it as well. That is my plan. Mm-hmm. So for the kidnapping, because Rarity was not released safely, the punishment automatically becomes a first-degree felony.
That's the highest felony.
Her hit one charge, and it's because when she got released, she was released hundreds of feet in the air, falling to her death, and would have died had someone not interfered.
Would genuinely have died. That's the second time in the show at this point that Rarity would have died from falling.
And first and second degree felonies work very strangely in Ohio. So for ease of argument, and because Equestria is super, super racist, we are going to issue the maximum sentences due to just the number of crimes. Mm-hmm. They would hold Spike to a higher level than everyone else and be more critical of his actions.
Because he is a dragon.
Because he is a dragon. And the punishment for kidnapping and a first-degree felony is 15 years to life in prison and a $20,000 fine.
So, first charge, life.
Life.
Womp womp.
So then we have the aggravated theft of $1.5 million. This is the result of him stealing the water tower. Like vandalism, the punishment for theft is largely dependent upon the amount. And $1.5 million or more is a first-degree felony. Again, so 15 years to life in prison and a $20,000 fine. So
two life sentences.
2 life sentences.
We're not even talking about the Wonder Bolts yet.
And to Dreadnoughts, but Spike
is not a minor. We will get that. We will get to that in a second.
But even if he was, in Ohio, juveniles can be punished for adult crimes if it is depending upon the severity of the situation. In fact, we recently just had a court case of a juvenile who is going to adult prison for conspiring to murder her entire family.
Oh,
so the severity of the crime can actually result in a juvenile being sent to adult prison. Now, I just love this. We have 1 count of aggravated theft, which is anything more than $750,000 but less than $1.5 million. That's a secondary felony. We have another count of aggravated theft for anything between $150,000 and $750,000. That's a third-degree felony. We have 3 counts of grand theft, which is $7,500 and less than $150,000.
That includes Applejack's apple orchard and all the leaves. I did the math. It's a $12,000 offense.
So that's a 4th-degree felony. So that is 8 to 12 years in prison, and a $15,000. 5 years in prison, a $10,000 fine, and a 4.5 years in prison and a $15,000 fine.
3 times.
And then 15 counts of theft, more than $1,000, but less than $750,000 or $7,500 is a 5th-degree felony, and that is 15 consecutive years in prison and a $37,500 fine.
Right. Anything below 1,000, if you're wondering, is petty theft, which is not an Ohio. That's a local thing.
Yeah. 15. And then we have, for him trying to steal Scootaloo's scooter, attempt to commit an offense. So this is attempted something.
Yes.
So this was unique. We needed to cover this one. Attempt to commit an offense is always one charge below the crime in question. The theft of Scootaloo's scooter would constitute a 5th-degree felony or so. So the attempt is a 1st-degree misdemeanor, which is 180 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. So just attempting gets him a 1st-degree misdemeanor. We then again have criminal, damaging, or endangering, because there's specifically a very specific line, recklessly by any means, including flood. When he removes the water tower, he floods the town. So the flood from the water tower results in injury and damage, automatically another 1st-degree misdemeanor, which is 180 days in jail and a $1,000 fine.
Which is funny. Causing a flood is a misdemeanor,
which is
but
funny
trying to steal Scootaloo's scooter is a felony.
And then we have his vandalism charges. His vandalism of Sugar Cube Corner, easily over $150,000.
Oh yeah,
damages, and it interferes with the ability of that business to engage in business. So 3rd-degree felony, 5 years prison, $12,500 fine. The library, he smashes that hole through the wall, $7,500 in damages, 4th-degree felony, 18 months in prison, $7,500 fine. Carousel Boutique, he breaks the window, $1,000 damages, 5th-degree felony, 1 year in prison, $2,500 fine. And his City Hall, because we realized in our timeline panel that in the episode where Applejack goes to get money for the City Hall, Spike is absent from that episode because it takes place immediately afterward, and he wrecked City Hall, which is $150,000 in damages, 3rd-degree felony, 5 years in prison, $12,500 fine.
So, yes, Spike is the Brony Critic's boy, but we spared nothing. Sorry, Spike.
And again, remember, this is all in one episode. So 3 counts of aggravated assault. No person while under the influence of sudden passion or in a sudden fit of rage, which is why even if he might be under bouts of insanity, this is what it's counted under, he still commits aggravated assault. But it also necessitates provocation by the victim. So punishment is increased if victim is an officer of the peace. The Wonderbolts, as members of the Royal Guard, constitute peace officers. So he assaults. An aggravated assault of 3 officers of the peace, which is a 3rd-degree felony. 15 years in prison, $30,000 fine. And then we had to cover Thorax, because Thorax is an illegal alien.
Yes, and so that's not in Secret of My Access, but it is a U.S. code violation.
Which is a very specific, unique one. Any person who, knowing that a person is an alien, brings to or attempts to bring to the United States in any manner whatsoever such person at a place other than a designated port of entry, that's automatically 5 years in prison. That's just how that operates.
That's automatically.
Now, if he had hurt anybody, it would have gotten a lot worse. But he didn't, so it's only 5 years in prison. Which Equestria has shown itself to be fairly unequal in its treatment of non-ponies, so we can assume that Spike will be treated more harshly for his crimes than the rest of the main 6. which results in 119 years in prison without parole, 360 days in jail, and a $183,500 fine. And here is my most shameful display I have ever created. I did my boy dirty. I'm sorry.
the Zakora thing, that's my favorite part of the whole episode, where they're zoomed in talking and you just hear a bunch of scuffling in the background and it zooms out and her entire place is gone.
But anyway.
Yeah, there's Thorax as a bad changeling. He was not a king back then. He was just a fugitive.
Yep. And we've got 25 minutes left. So the next pony is going to surprise you. We're not even going to let you guys live, or we're not even going to let you guys decide. This one is fairly clear. It's Applejack.
You guys were saying it was Applejack already. So you're right. After Spike, you're right. It was Applejack.
Yep.
So we're going to count that one correctly.
Yep. You guys
were right.
You guys were pretty on the nose. You guys figured it pretty quickly. Using a weapon while intoxicated. She uses a catapult, which this took a while for us to figure out. What does a catapult constitute under Ohio law?
Right.
And it does, I think, constitute as dangerous ordnance. Mm-hmm. If I was drunk and pushing a catapult down a street, I'm fairly certain that most
charge you would get.
Most officers would look at it, and if I fired that thing, well, more importantly, if I fired a person out of that thing,
yeah,
which means that's a first-degree misdemeanor, 180 days in jail, $1,000 fine. Well, that's not too bad. We're starting off not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad.
Rainbow Dash gets injured in the result, which is negligent assault. No person shall negligently, by means of a deadly weapon or dangerous ordinance, cause physical harm. She's injured, but that's a third-degree misdemeanor. That is 6 days in jail, $500 fine. So it is 3 times more trouble to use a weapon while drunk than to drunkenly shoot someone.
Yes, than to drunkenly shoot somebody.
In Ohio, anyway.
In Ohio.
Gotta love Ohio. Otherwise known as Northern Kentucky.
Yes, Northern Kentucky. This is why. Her crimes are few, but they are severe.
11 counts of contaminating substance for consumption or use.
Operating while drowsy in Ohio is considered impairment, which is under the intoxication. So sorry.
And it's also considered of her blame because she should know better.
Yes, she should know better.
She should have engaged, because she is responsible for that element of her health. That is why she's getting counted for it. So no person shall knowingly mingle a poison, hazardous chemical, biological, or radioactive substance or other harmful substance into food. This is a first-degree felony. Poisoning people is a first-degree felony. And we counted 11 because that was how many ponies got punished.
Yes.
Or how many people got injured in it. But there could be even more cases. These are just the people that we saw in that tent.
Also, we were thinking, well, nobody died, so we don't have to charge her with this, right? No, they all got physically ill and were incapacitated, which causes loss of revenue from any of their jobs, which causes an inconvenience to them, may cause physical harm, may exacerbate ulcers or something like that. So, like, she gets the full charge of contaminating the substance, even though the substances she used were not harmful to consume and just makes you sick instead of, like, dead. Still counts.
Which that is at least consecutive 15-year to life prison sentences. So at least 165 years in prison and a $220,000 fine. And then, because of the bunnies,
yeah,
inducing panic. less than $7,500 in economic damage, and no physical harm, that's a 5th-degree felony. Punishment, 12 months, 1 year in prison, $2,500 fine. So her total is 166 consecutive years in prison. Parole is kind of iffy because remember, consecutive. So what that would mean is that even if she got charged, that is 15 to life consecutively 11 times.
Yes, so she would need to get parole 11 times
in order to get out of her prison, and then still have to spend 240 days in jail. And I believe, I'm not sure if she has the most fines, but she's up there.
She is up there. So who do you guys think is next? Because then you know who is last. So who do you think? Is it Twilight or is it Pinkie Pie? Who's next? That leaves whoever's next. That leaves whoever it isn't as the worst. Twilight. Okay. Someone thinks Twilight is next. I hope AJ gets some good behavior. Yes, absolutely.
Actually,
Twilight, Pinkie, then Twilight. Pinkie next, Pinkie. AJ seems like a Shawshank Redemption. Pinkie. And then, yes, Rainbow Dash had 250,000.
You're right. Thank you. So Rainbow Dash did have the most, I believe.
Twilight. Okay. So who's right? The Twilights or the Pinkies? Because there's a lot of Pinkies.
Well, here are the pictures.
Yeah, the evidence.
I love that. I managed to get a motion picture of Rainbow.
Oh, yeah.
It's Twilight Sparkle.
It's Twilight.
And we had to be very specific about Twilight's pattern of behavior is erratic at best, which is troubling given her position and status following her ascension to alicornhood. So while we focused on Lesson 0, there were several other important moments that we needed to touch upon. Also, it's uncertain if Equestria has a lèse majesté law, but the US does not, so we cannot charge her for insulting Cadence. And as you will see, we really don't need to charge her with this. 35 counts of extortion. No person with purpose to obtain any valuable thing or valuable benefit or to induce an unlawful act, utter or threaten any calumny against any person. While brainwashing is not covered under the law, Twilight uses the Smarty Pants doll to coerce ponies to riot and assault one another. This constitutes a 3rd-degree felony. 35 counts of a 3rd-degree felony is 175 years in prison and a $350,000 fine. Whoo boy. So again, with just this one instance, he beat everyone else.
Yep, this one instance, 35 counts of criminal extortion. My girl is freaking robbing everybody.
And then
extorting everybody.
We have attempt to commit an offense. Now, this is with regards to Rockhoof's attempted suicide. Now, as Twilight is not a licensed medical professional, she is not covered by a death with dignity law, which I do believe Ohio has. So it is an illegal assisted suicide. An illegal assisted suicide is a 3rd-degree felony, which means the attempt is one charge below, which is a 4th-degree felony.
Yeah, so attempting to help Rockhoof commit suicide.
18 months or a year and a half in prison, $5,000 fine. And Icy Justice brings up a point. Oh, wait a minute. She's a ruler. She can just wave it off.
Yeah.
That is true. Unfortunately,
that's correct.
She has diplomatic immunity.
For the time that she's a ruler.
Mm-hmm.
Everything before season 3.
But we just felt it was important to realize with this one that she's still committing crimes, even when she's a law. Now, this one's interesting. Attempt to commit an offense. With regards to too many Pinkie Pies, while the legality of clones and whether they can be murdered is up for debate, she and her friends do act recklessly with regards to Pinkie Pie. Reckless homicide is defined as no person shall recklessly cause the death of another, which is a third-degree felony. As Twilight did not do enough to adequately ensure Pinky's safety, this could be seen as an attempted reckless homicide. It also means that the other main six and Spike, minus Pinky, are complicit in Twilight's attempt. Now, here's the thing. We say that they did not do enough to adequately ensure her safety. They did not give anything other than watching paint dry.
Yep.
If they had gotten things wrong, they could have murdered Pinkie Pie.
Right. She would have been trapped in the mirror pool forever. That's essentially murder.
Yep. So, fourth-degree felony, that is 18 months, 1.5 years in prison, $5,000 fine. Which leads to complicity.
Yes.
The theft of Philomena. No person acting with the kind of culpability required for the commission of offense shall aid or abet another in committing the offense. While Fluttershy does commit the crime, Twilight's pattern of behavior is shown more by the complicity than by anything else. Celestia is shown to be the commander of the equestrian forces. Theft of her person therefore constitutes an active duty service member, and she is elderly, making her a protected class. Complicity makes the complicit person guilty of the same charge as the principal offender. And so petty theft of a protected class is a 5th-degree felony, which is 1 year in prison, $2,500 fine.
Ooh, Twilight.
Even if she isn't an elder, she's still
commander-in-chief.
She's still commander-in-chief, which is, in a way, a service member. And she actually does fight. So she actually does, even that, then she engages more than our commander-in-chief does in battle.
Yes. But that's not the end. Oh, it is the end.
It is the end. So 179 years in prison and a $362,500 fine. So following her ascension to Alicorn-hood and princesshood, Twilight's actions have become protected as a national government official. Monarchs are largely protected from prosecution of their crimes. Her patterns of behavior have not changed, but now she is protected by her status and seems to be using it to cover her friends.
Yep.
And so we have these. Now again, she doesn't have a lot of crimes, but the severity of her crimes is much, much worse.
Yes. Mind control, like extortion, on purpose too. She cast the spell knowing full well the effects that the spell would have. She misjudged the range, but misjudging the range of a weapon like mind control is still your fault. No. So that leaves one pony. Oh, Pinkie Pie. What have you done?
It has long been established that Pinkie Pie she violates the laws of narrative and the laws of physics, but what are the nature of her crimes with regards to the law itself? Her lack of respect for the common decency of internal narrative consistency and the sanctity of it made it even more vital that we needed to examine her behavior for possible legal repercussions. So we explored every possible avenue of potential felonious activity, and you won't believe the list of crimes that we found.
You absolutely will not believe it.
Not a damn thing.
Nothing.
She is completely clean.
She has never committed a crime in 9 seasons of the entire series.
If anything, Pinkie tends to be a victim rather than complicit in the other ponies' crimes. It is
yes, there was a deception. Pinkie Pie is actually not the worst. She's the least.
Yep, we lied. Twilight is the worst.
Twilight is the worst. Yeah.
It was a purposeful misdirection. It has
Oh,
been shown
indeed. Yeah,
numerous
they're
times.
they're as surprised as we were. What?
We were waiting for that. We were waiting for that. It has been shown numerous times throughout the show that she has licenses, training, and permission to do almost everything she does. And the things she doesn't have permission for are almost always covered by some legal justification.
Yeah.
The closest we come to a potential crime was in A Friend Indeed, where it looked like Pinkie might be guilty of harassment. However, Pinkie Pie has permission from the community to be the official welcoming committee for Ponyville, meaning that her introduction is legally justified.
Mm-hmm.
Also, in Ohio law, harassment only occurs if the accused continues to harass after being asked to leave. After Cranky yells at her, she leaves.
She leaves.
She has more respect for the community than her friends do. And it's possible that she could have been accused of stalking at several points in the show, but in every circumstance, extenuating factors either justified her actions or excused them.
So as far as stalking goes, the person that you are stalking has to tell you to stop. If you continue after that, then it's a stalking charge. It is not illegal to follow somebody.
Another sign of her general character for lawfulness is in the episode The Gift of the Maud Pie, when Pinkie Pie legally sells her party cannon despite her desire not to, she accepts it. And in this same episode, Rarity and Maud Pie engage in intimidation and threatening assault in order to extort the cannon from the legal pipe. It is therefore our opinion that Pinkie Pie is the most lawful and law-abiding member of the main six. Her respect for the community at large, including its citizens, is actually quite admirable and shows just how committed to improving ponies' lives she actually is. And when we thought about it more, it was totally in line with her character and her motivations. And we're happy to state that in terms of criminal activity, Pinkie Pie is completely innocent. Her only real crime is her poor choice of friends, choosing to hang out with reprobates and criminals on the regular.
Yeah, Pinkie Pie is completely innocent. There's nothing there.
And we looked. We honestly, seriously looked. And maybe you guys will see something, but we're fairly confident that she tends to be the victim of crimes more than actually causing them.
Right, yeah. And whenever they're complicit, like whenever she would normally be complicit, what's happening isn't a crime. So, yeah, we didn't expect Pinkie to be completely innocent in Snakeface. Like we were like, that's crazy. And when she tied Gummy to a balloon, that really didn't put him in any danger.
Let's see. What about the havoc caused by Pinkie's clones? We actually thought about this.
Yeah, we did.
And the Pinkie clones are self-operating and independent.
Yes, they would be charged separately.
She created them for the purpose of engaging in regular, normal behavior, but they acted totally independent of her.
She even tells them how to act and to not violate any laws, basically. She says, you need to go do these things very specifically, and the clones disobey.
So the clones are the ones that would actually, even though we can't legally figure out whether killing a clone constitutes as murder under the law hasn't caught up to cloning yet.
She watched the worms go into the baked bads, yeah, but that's again, Applejack is the one who's supposed to know what she's doing. And so she is deferring to authority.
She acted in good faith. She had no reason to believe that Applejack would do her wrong like that. And what's more, she herself was a victim of the poisoning.
Yes.
Which in the law would almost certainly excuse her of being punished for it.
Absolutely. And also, the clones dispelling them, would dispelling them count as murder? We were thinking about that. The spell in the show specifically states it sends them back to the mirror pool, not kills them. That's why we were doing reckless homicide for her, but not the clones, because the clones belong in the mirror pool. Pinkie Pie herself does not belong in the mirror pool.
We had a long talk about this. Like,
yeah, it was.
I think we almost took an hour just discussing cloning and whether or not, because if that were the case, we gonna be a bit honest with you. We were purposefully trying to give Twilight the worst number of crimes possible. We were actively searching because Twilight obviously commits the most and the worst kinds of crimes.
Oh yeah, completely. Also, we have 2 questions in the questions channel that I want to get to before any of the others, because that's where the questions should be. Thank you, Alan, Databit File, and Spartan Celestia for putting them in this channel. How many times have you watched the show? Me, 3 times, all the way through. Like the entire series, all of the Equestria Girls movies, and Rainbow Road Trip, all 3 times.
Probably 5.
All the way through, all of the content, or just the main content?
Main content for the most part. And honestly, a lot of that was doing the timeline.
Yes, that's true.
When we did the timeline,
we went through the whole series.
We would watch episodes multiple times, just back to back.
Also, we have Vigilantism. That's all you, man. What about Vigilantism?
The thing is, Vigilantism is essentially stopping criminal activity without legal authority. They don't arrest anybody. They don't they don't assault criminals or anything. No. Even though they're dressed up like Batman, they're not actually doing anything. They're not stopping crimes. Right. What they are doing is good Samaritan acts. Mm-hmm. They are helping people out. That is not in and of itself illegal. It is not illegal to help someone who is in trouble. It is illegal to enforce laws without the legal authority to do so. Yes. That's vigilantism.
That's what vigilantism is defined as.
Yep. So the mysterious ne'er-do-well isn't actually a crime. They're awful. They're really, really awful about it, but in and of itself, didn't commit a crime.
Nope. And then 2 that kind of work together. Why didn't you do Starlight? And so how bad is Starlight then? I think we all want to know. We didn't do Starlight because we wanted to do the main 6 plus Spike. So there's just that as a regular thing. But also Starlight is a villain. She's a reformed villain, which means all of her crimes up until the point she was reformed and after, I guess, because she still does commit a lot of crimes, especially in the season 7 premiere. But we didn't do Starlight because her crimes are innumerable. She enslaved an entire town. Just Happy Smileville.
Equally,
yeah, she ran a cult. She was a cult leader, and that's probably the least of her crimes. I mean, she annihilated all of time, but we can't really charge her for that because there's no evidence time was ever annihilated, and they couldn't prove that in a court of law, so you can't use annihilating time. But yeah, because it could not be proven. But yeah, Starlight, the season 7 premiere where she bottles up all the rage, that episode, even after her reformation, would be incredibly damning.
But while we were doing this, I was thinking about Starlight, which is why next year at 2021, I am thinking about doing Law and Order MLP Special Villains Unit.
So
SVU.
What do you guys think? SVU, Special Villains Unit. Would you guys like to see that panel?
We would cover the legal crimes for Discord, Nightmare Moon, T-Rex, Chrysalis, Starlight, Cozy Glow.
Yeah. Oh, there is a very positive outpour of yes, you should. There is a very positive outpour. Oh, good job, Joe. This is all Joe's idea, by the way. He just asked me to be a sounding board. So clap emojis for Joe, or for the Brony Critic. Sorry.
There is one question that I saw earlier that I did kind of want to cover. Is this Legal Eagle with MLP? Yeah. I'm a fan of Legal Eagle, so Cozy Go will be tried and stoned as an adult.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you saw Drew's panel yesterday, you would know that there's good evidence to suggest that she might be an adult.
Yes, there's good evidence to suggest that she might be an adult.
But, you know, we're very, very appreciative. The panels, hopefully they will be recorded.
You usually do with your own camera, right?
I usually do. I'm actually wondering if, now that we understand with this idea, the idea of actually streaming some TrotCon panels live. To be recording.
Yeah.
That could be nice.
I agree. Now that the staff has a better command over the program software of Zoom and Vimeo, maybe we will be streaming more panels live. I'm going to actually talk to Darkly about that afterwards, after the con is over.
Because if I could get a copy of this, if I could get a copy of the recorded stream for this panel, I'd love to be able to put it up on my YouTube channel.
They all want to see this villains unit. Like, I'm based on the reactions of this panel, it does seem like you guys enjoyed it, but they are clamoring for the villains.
Oh. Did you see Midnight Fires? You forgot about the one crime that all characters are guilty of under Ohio law.
Oh, yeah.
All horses must be restrained by fencing.
There's another thing about that. So, do you guys think that the ponies in Ponyville engage in sexual activity? I mean, they have to, right? Because of Mr. and Mrs. Cake, or at the very least, Mrs. Cake, right? Okay, so nothing inappropriate, just ponies probably engage in sexual activity. It is illegal in Ohio to have a stallion service a mare within 30 feet of a road, regardless of whether or not they are inside an enclosure. Womp womp, all of Ponyville.
Who do you think had the least offenses of villains? I think this is going to be our last question, and I think I want to hold myself to who I think this is for next year.
Okay, okay.
Of them, I think Nightmare Moon is probably the least of the villains.
Oh, wow. Nightmare Moon. Yeah? Okay, okay.
Out of the worst, I think maybe Cozy Glow.
It's a toss-up. I mean, if
because a coup against the government.
A coup against the government? Yeah, it's a toss-up between Cozy Glow and Starlight for me.
Because I'm not actually sure if a coup is illegal.
Oh, yeah, back to the yaks, and then we got to go. But the yaks, somebody said starting a war with the yaks. We learned that starting a war is not illegal. Not according to the U.S. code. Yeah, it's not illegal. You can start a war if you want. Don't, please. 2020 is bad enough, but you could. And Cozy Glow might actually not be a minor, or even a pony in general. More about that on my recorded panel. But we do have to go. Yep. It is past time. Thank you all for joining us. I'll let Joe have the last word, though. Sorry.
This was a lot of fun. I'm really thankful that all you guys were so receptive to this. I will definitely be at closing ceremonies. Drew will as well. So we hope to see you guys there. Hope to see you at a bunch of the other panels. And hope to see you guys next year when we'll have Law and Order MLP Special Villains Unit. And, for obviously Drew's Equestrian Legends. And I think we were also thinking of doing an updated timeline, but we'll see how things look next year. Next year was probably going to be very busy to begin with. But thank you, Drew, for coming on. This was a blast. This was so much fun.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, everyone have a great evening. Great afternoon. I'm going to get myself some lunch. Bye, guys.
Farewell.